Well, you know, I love the theater in LA. You know, Los Angeles is getting better theater since I moved from New York here to Hollywood, California. When I first arrived, it was horrifying. But since the New Yorkers have moved to LA, well, the theater. And San Francisco is a great theater town like New York. And I'm talking to a lovely lady right now from San Francisco, Alexis Lezin. How are you?
Very well. How are you?
From San Francisco.
That's true.
You are in a wonderful play. It's called The Last Hairdresser. Tell me about that play. It's dynamic.
Thank you. It's a play that was first produced in San Francisco about a year and a half ago.
Uh-huh.
And it was a real big success there, and it's really a lot of fun. And then we took it here. So
You're from San Francisco originally, or no?
Actually, yeah. Originally, yes.
Uh-huh.
I was born there, but then I was raised here in LA.
In LA.
And
Did you
then-
read here at the Beverly Hills High School? Did you attend here?
No, I
Like
didn't.
Monica Lewinsky?
No.
This is a very famous school, the Beverly Hills High School.
No, I didn't
Uh-huh.
go to school here.
Uh-huh.
I went to school out in North Hollywood, at Oakwood.
Oh,
School.
okay. Who am I sitting next? You're sitting with a fabulous actor. His name is Brian Beacock. How are you, Brian?
Very good, thank you.
You're in the play. You are the outrageous one.
One of the many.
One of the many. There
Yes.
are many.
Yes.
Tell me about this, The Last Hairdresser.
Well, the character I play is Foley, and he is one of the last hairdressers. The subtitle of the play is The Deconstruction of the Vicious Queen, of which I am one, and I'm vicious.
Are you a vicious queen?
In the show, I'm a
in the
vicious
show,
queen.
I know you
Yeah.
are, but
I'm
you
the
know.
salt of the earth otherwise, but
Where are you from originally?
San Francisco Bay Area.
So everyone's from San Francisco in the show, practically, isn't it?
Well, there are some of us. The director and me.
Yes.
That was grammatically incorrect. And
It's okay.
thank you. And somebody else from the show were
Yeah.
all from the original cast in San Francisco. But the rest of the people were actually cast out of L.A. So and Brian happens to have been born
Been
in that
in
area.
LA and you cast
cast
for
out
it,
of LA, yeah.
Was it tough at the beginning when you went for the reading of that, when you looked at that script and you said, oh, I have it, I can carry on with it?
No, actually, it was very difficult, and it's very biting, and it's very wordy, and anything with more than 3 syllables tends to confuse a blonde. But
But
so
you did really well at that.
He did.
I think
yeah.
it's the best I ever did was at the audition. It's just been downhill ever since.
No,
so.
really. I went to see that show, and I thought you were outrageous.
It's
in
very
it. Yeah,
fun.
it's a
It's
very
very fun.
outrageous. The audiences just are screaming at this play.
Yeah.
Why are they screaming such a campy play? Because it's real life stuff, you know. That's what really happens in hairdressers. Tell me.
It is real life. It's also it's heightened. It's exaggerated, and we say things that people want to say and don't. And everything's said in this show. And it's said with bright lights and hairspray and flying sets and quick change costumes and music. It's very exciting.
Now, I discovered that you sang on stage naked.
Yes.
Tell me about
For quite a long time.
But you were in the Naked Singers.
Naked Boys Singing.
Naked Boy Singers?
At the Celebration Theater. I originated the role of the Naked Maid last March 28th, I guess it was. And did
How
that
were
for a
you?
while.
Just completely no
Completely
leaves?
naked.
Really?
Every once in a while, a
That
bow
was your
tie.
birthday suit and just stood
Yeah.
there, start singing. What kind of songs were you singing?
It's all original songs that were commissioned by composers from around the country.
Right.
Naked composers.
Naked composers.
Naked composers.
Songs about being naked, the high school shower, the flirtation through 2 windows in the city. There's a beautiful pas de deux that we did, a ballet. It's a wonderful show. Yeah.
You did Magic Theater in San Francisco.
I have worked there, yes.
Tell me about That's a wonderful theater. It disappears sometime, but that's the Magic Theater. Go ahead.
I've had the good fortune to work sort of all over San Francisco. So I've worked there. I worked with a theater company called Campo Santo recently who do really incredible work, take original plays, and are really, I think, at the center of kind of what is happening in San Francisco theater. I worked with another company called The Fifth Floor, who've been influenced a lot by Anne Bogart, and do a lot of really interesting non-narrative stuff that doesn't make any money for anyone, but is very enjoyable.
It seems like
do
you
and see.
guys are really enjoy working theater.
Yes, it's true.
Am I right?
You're absolutely right, which is something that I think is part of the adjustment of being in Los Angeles, which is because it's such a film influenced, television influenced town.
Right. You've done movies. You've done, a matter of fact, Sleep Come Free with Me, or what is that all about?
Sleep Come Free Me is a film. It's a short film that I did a year ago and won the Audience Choice Award at the Gay and Lesbian Film Festival.
Gay and Lesbian Film Festival? Now,
Right.
were you a lesbian in this, or what?
I was in the film, yes.
In the film? Really?
Yes.
How come you're getting such roles like...
Well, you know,
go ahead.
part of it is, you know, who you start to work with certain people, and San Francisco especially is a small, the theater community is a small community.
Yes.
We all know one another, and you just sort of work with who you're working with, and it's also a very gay city, so, there's a lot of work.
Is it really gay city, San Francisco? I mean, I know it's gay, but is it really...
It really
totally
is.
Gay? Is it really?
Well, totally,
The gay voice
no.
is really... The gay voice
The
is...
city,
It's entire 100% gay.
the
Is it
city
really?
only likes
we just
other
figured out.
cities of the same sex.
Why do they all go to San Francisco? What is... Have you discovered why, Brian?
All I know is about San Francisco, it is such a melting pot, like New York or other cities
Right.
and stuff. There's no room for any kind of prejudice. There
There
just
isn't
no
really?
room for it. No,
Really?
you're on the street every single day with these people. It's not as crazy as New York. It's not as intense or hard to live.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, there's also, the history of San Francisco was it was a gold rush town.
It was,
And so
absolutely.
you had mostly workers and prostitutes, and so it was a very open-minded town
City,
where
really, it's always
people-
been,
yeah,
yeah.
where single people went there to make a lot of money, and so they weren't steeped in the same kinds of values that included being settled with a family. They were there. They were sort of free spirits.
It's a free
So-
spirit city. Is that what you're trying? But you're doing, it's Universal Theater. You're so busy.
Universal Studios, yeah.
Yeah, tell me about that. The
Well, I've been-
Phantom of the Opera?
Phantom of the Opera, or the hip Phantom of the Opera with white spiky hair and purple tips and a purple sequin jacket and silver mask, and it's all the classic Universal monsters in a rock and roll show, the Beetlejuice Graveyard Rock and Review.
Is this every day you're doing
It's
this?
5 times a day,
5 times a day at Universal Studios?
4 or 5 days a week for 5 years.
Real? You've been there 5 years?
Yeah. It's a great
Is it-
job.
is
It's
it
a great
really?
job.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of money. It's where I made all my friends in LA, got all my connections.
Mm-hmm.
We've got major people working there, people that have done ragtime and TV. And
Right.
Just top of the line.
So you're really on stage a lot.
A lot.
A lot. So you have learned. What have you learned being on stage a lot?
Vacations are nice. Being on stage is almost as natural as being off stage now, and sometimes even more comfortable. So
Now you're doing a musical, I think, with Sid Caesar and Carl Reiner. Tell me about this thing around the world.
Around the World in 80 Days, which is the working title now, it's an animated feature for Nickelodeon Pix, which is a new division of Nickelodeon Television.
Right.
And I play Trevor, a parrot who was raised in a lab watching television and listening to radio. So in this cartoon, I speak about 40 different dialects, different voices and languages and stuff. And that should be out around November, December of this year. And I got to work with Sid Caesar and Carl Reiner, Chaka Khan, Willem Dafoe came in. It was amazing.
That's great, huh?
It was amazing, and I was petrified.
Why would you be petrified?
Because they're the greats. Well, Chaka Khan, she's nice, but it was really fun. Sid Caesar and Carl Reiner flanking me for this one thing that we did, and it was one of the heights.
What have you learned about Los Angeles theater, Alexis?
I think it's hard to say now because I really haven't been back here long enough to really know. But I think that as I said earlier, I think that LA is a town that is so influenced by television that it seems to me that there is less of a willingness to kind of to play around with more experimental forms. Like this play has a lot of this first half of the play, or a little more than that, really has a lot of short scenes that sort of jump around. You're following a lot of different characters' sort of stories. And then the second half is a little more plot-driven, so that you have it all sort of getting wrapped up. And it seems to me that there are a number of people who have really responded more to the second half
Right.
because it's a more familiar format. It's what you see on television,
Right.
which is just, plot driven. You got your story and it all wraps up in the end. And I'm actually more, generally, my tastes lean more toward the less traditional sort of format where you have all these different stories and you're sort of identifying with a number of different people in the show and you haven't just allied yourself with one person and follow that story to the end. So I think it's maybe a little bit fearful. There's a little bit of fear here to really experiment.
How's the audiences, comparing audiences?
To San Francisco? They've been great. I was actually nervous about that, and people had said, LA audiences will really sit on their hands and are not going to respond at all.
Yes. You're at this theater, though. It's a very cute little theater. It's called...
The Zephyr on Melrose.
Zephyr on Melrose.
7456, I believe.
Yeah, the Zephyr. So tell me what else. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, so it's been great. I mean, the audiences have been really great. They're not at all reticent or afraid to really express themselves. They're really with the show and having a great time. And afterwards, it's so great because everybody's hanging out. I mean, a number of people have hung out after the show who don't know anybody in the cast just to say, what a great show it is and how much fun they had.
Yeah, it's not just a gay audience. You have a mixture. I've seen old people there, old, I mean.
Right.
Real, and they're laughing up a storm.
Right. We had one older laugher that we were all sort of in love with.
Yeah, I had dialed 9-1. I was waiting for the last one at one point because she was just.
Who you studied acting with, Brian?
Just college professors. And
No, did you go to actor studios or any of those? No. How about you, Alexis?
I didn't either. I went to Sarah Lawrence.
Really?
I went to Sarah
You
Lawrence.
went to Sarah
College.
Lawrence. Yeah, you remind me of a Sarah Lawrence girl. Yeah.
Oh, really? I don't know how to take that.
You know what a Sarah Lawrence girl does?
No.
Yeah, go ahead. You
went
do
to Steve
remind me of a
Lawrence.
Sarah Lawrence. When were you there?
I was there. I graduated in '94.
What made Alexis Lezin get into the business? What?
Well, I'll tell you my theory on that, Skippy, which is that I'm an identical twin.
Are
and,
you really?
And my sister and I, from the time we were babies, people would always stop us and talk to us because we were twins. And we kind of developed a kind of shtick with each other because, just I think as a way of coping, really.
To confuse each other. Okay, go ahead. People.
Well, not even to confuse them, just because they were always waiting for us to perform because we looked alike. And they were sort of always waiting for a show. So we kind of developed this sort of shtick with each other. And it was just part of my kind of development as a person early on was that I sort of felt I had that impulse to want to entertain people.
Right.
So really, I can't ever remember a time when it wasn't something that I knew I really wanted to do. There have been a lot of different times in my life when I wasn't sure I really wanted to be an actor, and I maybe was going to sort of try to sublimate those desires and do something else with it. But I've always had that performative kind of instinct, and luckily I have continued with it in my adult life. So
Brian, 5 days a week. I mean, 5 days a night. Is it 5 days? I mean, five
for
shows.
For Universal?
Yeah, Universal.
Yeah.
Come on. Any mishaps there? Come on, share some mishaps with us. We must have some outrageous things.
Yeah, I'm I don't know, 20 feet in the air on top of 3 stacked cars with explosions and fire.
Are you really?
And stairs running up and down stairs. And I've fallen down the stairs. I've fallen up the stairs. I've picked a woman out of the audience that I have to dance with to find out that she is indeed a man. That was fun. I've tripped and rolled across the stage and slammed into a door and popped back up, and most people didn't even see that I fell. There's been many.
How many
many
in the
things.
cast of that Universal show?
It's
big.
6. There's
is that all?
Dracula, Wolfman, Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, The Phantom, and Beetlejuice, who's the narrator.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I know there's a lot of accidents happen at Universal. Tell us why.
Disgruntled workers, right? No. We don't have major accidents.
No?
I mean, no, we have people hit their knees, and it's typical show stuff. It's not like fires on the lower lot. We don't have those kind of things happen.
Now, the director, Alexis, who's the director of this, The Last Hairdresser?
Danny Scheie. And
Danny Scheie.
And he also is the sort of central character.
He's in the show
He's in the show.
Right.
And he did that in San Francisco as well.
And so you worked with him in San Francisco.
Yeah, and I've worked with him, actually, this is my 4th production with him.
Oh, have What others have you done?
A couple of years ago, we did a play called The Stand-In by Keith Curran, which was also,
Right.
I think there was a production of it here.
Right, it was.
And
I remember that, yes.
we did that. We did this show, and we did a show called The Lady in Question.
Uh-huh. The winner of the Best Play and Best Actor, Danny, Critic Award, Bay's Critic Awards. What was that about? For here, this show right here, Dresser?
For this show, yeah.
Really?
The San Francisco production. He won the Bay
What
Area
did the
Critics
Dramalog
Award.
say about this show? I haven't read the Dramalog reviews.
Backstage West,
Yes, Backstage.
which came
They
out today.
changed. Why did they changed it to Backstage West?
Yes,
Yeah.
they combined. It came out actually today, and we got critics' pick.
It
and
did.
It's a wonderful review. It's great. Yeah, I'm just coming off that cloud. Yeah, it was nice. It was nice. So whoever wrote it, thank you very much.
I think Danny is walking in. Is this Danny?
It's
Just
true.
come on in,
This
Danny.
would be
Don't
Danny
the camera be
Scheie.
focusing on me and just duck down and just come on in. There he comes. Hello, Danny.
Hi.
God, I've been plugged that in. And how
See,
are you?
been
I just
vamping for
we're
hours.
just clipping on your sweater.
That was some production.
Danny, tell me,
time.
you are the director. You had
Oh,
problems getting
it's,
here. Is that it? Don't worry about it. Just hug. You had problems getting here. Is that it?
Yeah, there's horrible traffic.
Yes, it is. Tell me about your play, and also I was just talking the Best Actors Award, Best Critics Award in San Francisco, and tell me, Santa Cruz and all those places you've done. You're living in San Francisco and
Yeah.
came here.
Yeah, I'd spent about 10 years doing almost nothing but Shakespeare, and then in the last
5
5
years of Shakespeare.
Yeah,
Oh, God.
doing
okay.
doing a lot of new gay plays in San Francisco the sort
Uh-huh.
of last 5 years, and it's fun when I can mix and match those two kinds of things, which in some ways The Last Hairdresser is like a Shakespeare play. It has all these different plots that weave together, and they
Right.
do sort of come together in the last scene. We sometimes call the last scene of this play Act 5, because it's like the last scene of Shakespeare, and it has many different places. It takes place in New York and San Francisco and the Midwest, and
So it's
kind
really a
epic.
basic of everyone's place.
Yes.
Right. That's what it
It
really is.
all comes together.
Where are you originally from?
I was born in Albuquerque.
Albuquerque, New Mexico,
Yeah.
which is a very good theater town, you know.
I-
Santa Fe,
I don't
near.
know.
You've never been? Okay, you left
But
there. You got
I,
away
um,
right away, huh?
Yeah, I lived most of my childhood in Chicago and all over the Midwest.
Uh-huh. Goodman, did you study at Goodman in Chicago?
No, I didn't. I studied at Indiana and Berkeley.
Oh, okay.
UC Berkeley.
Shakespeare is tough. Have you done Shakespeare?
Not really. I don't think so. No.
What made
never.
Danny get into Shakespeare, Danny? That's a tough. Well, I think our boy went to London. He studied at RADA, and he left Dr. Kildare and got into Shakespeare and became a fine actor. And that's what, if you can do Shakespeare and turn around and do the others, they say it's tough.
Well, you can't, if you can do Shakespeare, it's hard.
Right.
So hard to make clear. Nobody really understands what they're saying. So once you can do Shakespeare, the other stuff is easier. It's sometimes after you do Shakespeare a lot and then you do a regular play, it's like, this is so much easier. You don't have to worry about trying to explain to the audience what the words mean.
Right.
So
So, Danny, tell me, you wrote this play.
I
and
didn't write this
You
play.
didn't write it. Who
I
did?
directed it and acted in it. Doug Holsclaw, who's a San Francisco playwright.
Uh-huh. Where did he get his ideas from? The words.
I think he's a really,
It's like
really
every
funny
Queen's
guy.
words. Like he must have been everywhere, because it's just like I've heard these words everywhere I've been. Go ahead.
He grew up in Nebraska, left school, like the character that I play, Guy Voss does, left school in the middle at University of Nebraska. It's University of Minnesota in the
Right.
play. And went to New York, and worked in New York, came to LA, ended up in San Francisco.
That's what the play is really about,
Yes.
basically.
But I think it is every gay man's journey a little bit.
Uh-huh.
Every Nelly gay man.
Now you've
Which
done
is
television
different.
work, have you? And
Very little,
very
a little
who's-
bit.
You did.
Done some.
You've done films. Films. I see. Are you going to decide about this play? Is this going to turn into a little? I think it could be interesting in a sitcom.
Well, Doug's written a screenplay.
For a sitcom, for a TV, I think it could be. I don't know about a screenplay, but I think a sitcom every week. I think this could be very interesting.
Okay.
I'm talking
I'm
about
on.
theater.
How
I
about
know
you guys?
That's
Yeah.
fine. Yeah.
She was telling me the theater people are just coming out there. How do you find the audiences here in LA?
They're great. They're just great. They howl and scream and gasp. I
Well, how about
love
San
the audiences
Francisco? What do you think
here.
about San Francisco audiences? I thought they're the best.
I think they might be, I don't know. What do you think? They might
I
be a
think-
little more reserved and judgy up there.
Oh, really?
Oh, I don't think so. You think so?
I don't know.
I was saying I had the impression before I got here that LA audiences would be like that, and then they haven't turned out to
Right.
be as critical as I thought they would be. But I think they're a little bit. I think there might be a little kind of sense of intellectual pretension in San Francisco, where people are watching things critically and they're aware that they're watching it critically. Whereas here, I think people are really ready to be entertained, and they're not waiting to hate it, really. But if they hate it, they're going to be clear about it.
I think that's like the play. One of the things that bothers some people is that it does have this structure, as I said, that's Shakespearean. It's kind of epic. It goes all over the place.
It
has
does run,
all these different plots that don't come together till the end. But it also has this feel or smell of a sitcom. I mean, lots of jokes,
right?
Accessible kind of modern characters. Some of them very, one-dimensional characters. So I think that I think Alexis is right. In San Francisco, people, if they sniff it being sitcom-y, they get judgy and tune out. Whereas people don't here in LA. The sitcom is a completely
That's what they want.
Recognized
Yeah,
and validated
they're used
form.
to that. Yes, yeah, but not in San Francisco. I agree with you there. Yeah.
Too many laughs in San Francisco, and they're a little suspicious. If the audience is actually having a good time and not suffering a little
Are you
bit.
having a good time in the play? It seems like you're having a ball in this play, getting spanked and all that.
Yeah,
Naughty boy.
That's good anytime, as you know.
Yeah.
And it's a blast to do. I mean, once it opened, sort of like with the show, once the play opened, but also every night once it opens, I have that first monologue. I'm sure Brian and Alexis have moments like this as well, where they laugh. They laugh big and hard at you, and then after that, it's like free skate.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
really fun to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You seem like you're having a good time, Alexis, also with the boys. How many
Yeah.
girls are there? You're
There's
two.
There's another woman.
Now the girl, just two, and all the boys.
Yeah.
And all guys are having a great time.
Yeah, it's like a regular USO tour.
It is. I don't know
Or
about
the
this one, the
boys.
USO tour for that one. The boys in Germany, they would they would probably like it.
Oh,
It's
sure,
kind of fun.
especially in
They
Germany.
would like it.
I think the Wax would really like Alexis, don't you think?
The Wax.
The Wax.
You're very funny.
Wax and the Waves.
Tell me about the theater at this lovely Zephyr Theater. It's a small little theater. It seats 90, and it's like a theater of the round, isn't it? Actually, like
A little bit of
little round,
narrow, shallow
yeah,
thrust.
because you're sitting, and I think it's interesting because when you're performing, I was on the side watching
you
the show.
were?
Yeah, and I like it better.
Cool.
Yeah, instead of looking, because I like to see the actors, what are they going to do? I'm here on the side, and I like to see if they're going to carry on over here. That's my judgment of the theater, and you all did it beautifully, and I think
It's tougher it's a little harder to include those people on the side. But again, that's like a Shakespeare play. That's exactly what the stage is built to do.
it's staged.
is
Yes,
to-
exactly.
It changes your acting a little bit. You have to be more open and share and a little more.
Did you study in Hollywood at all since you've been here? You
No,
guys don't
haven't
study to
studied
keep
in
your
Hollywood.
you just do your plays and that's because actors
do
all
workshops
study
and stuff.
workshops. They
Yeah.
keep working all the
I teach
time.
quite a bit.
You teach.
Yeah,
Oh,
up
okay.
north at UC Santa Cruz and Stanford, and I teach at Pixar Animation Studios, the people that do
So you
Bugs
do
Life
teach
and
acting
Toy Story.
and voice
Yeah.
technique and all that.
So yes, I do. So it's sort of like taking class at the same time, because if you say stuff that you have to make sure you believe it and do it yourself.
Would you like to be a stand-up comedian? Because you're so funny. You ever tried to do stand-up?
Never did stand up, and it scares me a little bit.
Why? Why would that scare
I
you?
think
You need
when
the
people-
monologue to hold you back there, or what?
I like if people don't laugh at my jokes in real life, I hate them. So I turn off to the people. So I'm afraid I would.
Go to the Comedy Store
Get
and
my
try to do a
feelings hurt.
5-minute bit, all three of you. It's kind of interesting. Actors are doing that now. They're all writing little bits and they get on stage and just be honest.
Yeah.
Just talk, just a little.
Well,
it's kind of interesting.
I did a one-man show last year that I wrote in San Francisco called Dr. Scheie's Traffic School, which was a blast. But I totally had my script
Oh, okay, yeah.
first.
Yeah,
I think I believe in the text a little bit. I admire stand-up comics.
It's hard.
Yeah.
I tried to do it once, but I'm more of a storyteller. So I would start telling a long story and then everybody was asleep or giving me the finger, and so it doesn't
Alexis,
work.
are you going out for commercials and sitcoms and stuff like that while you're here in the movies?
No,
No?
not actively. I would like to be, but I haven't been. So
You
far.
haven't because you're involved with the play right now. Is that it? Is that taking a lot
Yeah.
of your time?
Actually, now it's great because we're running Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays.
Right.
And so it's nice because we had a pretty heavy-duty rehearsal schedule, and now things are cleared up a little bit.
I'd like to show just this picture of all the cast. My God, what a big cast. Look at this.
9 of us.
9. Wow, it's a big cast. It's a very, very funny show. It really
Oh,
is.
thanks.
And it's directed beautifully. I
Thank
must
you.
tell you, you directed this. Was it hard for you to direct this?
Well, it was funny because I directed it before, and sort of, I love the way it turned it out. So beautiful and simple with just those 2 curtains and stuff.
I
and
like
that
that
little
simplicity.
thrust.
Yeah, that was very
But
simple.
So you try to make it simple. It was hard to restage, and it's sort of like, you know, a real sleight of hand that you have to go all these places and tell all these stories with basically 2 sets of curtains and 9 actors. But the result, it forces you to be creative every time the scene changes, and I think we
Right.
did a pretty good job of that.
You know, Brian works at Universal Studios. I can't believe
know.
it. 5 shows, and then he goes on weekends with the theater here, and it's hard work, Brian.
It
you
is
know?
hard work, but it's all I know how to do.
Well, you know, you just do voiceovers and all that sort of
Voiceovers
things.
and music editing, I do that a little bit too.
Music editing?
Computer stuff, just
Do you
in case.
really?
Yeah, just in case
And
everything
also
else falls
naked
through.
singing on stage. Naughty boy, singing naked.
And there's even a little naked.
a little
there's a mini
bit.
There
naked
is a naked.
scene in
Is there
our.
naked scenes in your show too?
It's
Me-
me
a
and
mini.
Brian.
Yeah, that's right. You
Stop
have-
saying mini.
you're just you and Brian.
It's a little
Yes.
It's a
char-
max scene.
charming, endearing, cute, naked scene.
Charming.
all
I
done
like
them,
those
Skippy.
words. That's a nice words.
Yes.
Good
Innocent
words.
boys.
Very boyish and very
Yes.
simple words. Very
Yeah.
endearing. Very nice. I agree. The show is really wonderful. I really thought it was hysterical.
Thanks.
Very fun. Just
Cool.
take it as you go in there to enjoy it. It's only theater. And take it, you know, I went to see Cabaret the other day, and I thought Cabaret was great because it was Cabaret it should be, you know. I'm not seeing Liza Minnelli. You go to see Cabaret.
Right.
You know, I'm screaming Liza Minnelli. Same as, oh, she's great, don't take me wrong. But I'm just saying, you know
girl's
what I
yelling.
mean.
I love her. Pisces. What sign are you?
I'm a Gemini. You don't know which one you're
Judy
talking
was
about.
a Gemini.
You don't, I know she was.
My mother is a
And
Gemini.
she's a Gemini, your mother, and that's why she had twins.
That's right.
darling.
That's right.
How's your other sister? Is she in the business?
She isn't.
She isn't.
No, to my chagrin. I wish that she were because it's fun, really fun.
Is she?
Yeah, she's a great actress, and it's really fun to act with her. But
Did you both went to Sarah?
Sarah Lawrence? No,
Lawrence.
she went to Smith in Massachusetts, and I went to Sarah Lawrence.
I love New Haven and the Connecticut's and all those places. New Hampshire's. You ever go back east? New York?
Yeah, I do.
You worked
like
New York?
New
Have you? Yes.
But I like California better.
I'm interviewing Quentin Crisp next week.
Oh, my
Quentin
word.
Crisp is arriving into town.
Great.
He's going to be doing at the gay club there on Highland or somewhere. He's going to be functioning, doing his speech, and does his one-man show for all the gay and lesbians on Highland, I think it is. Or
For all of them?
yeah, well, whatever we have. You know, and we-
Not all the ones in San
He is
Francisco.
incredible.
Right. He was
That
at Theater
whole gay
Rhino
thing.
where this place started in San Francisco just a few
Oh,
months
he
ago.
was. Yeah.
Yes, and packed the houses and
He did his one-man show.
outrageous,
Isn't he incredible? Have you ever seen him?
I've seen him before. Yeah.
I think he's just
He's
incredible.
the greatest.
Yes. That 90 minutes of it he did?
Wow.
90. And he's what, 90 some years old, isn't he?
Yeah.
He lives in one little room in the Village in New York. And it's just enough to lay your hat and a coat and a friend, I
It's right by
understand.
Manila Lane Theater.
Really, believe me,
So
it's
I've
so
heard.
small. Really, pardon me?
It's right by Manila Lane Theater, I think.
Yes,
in
yes.
The Village.
Well, we're all going to come down to see The Last Hairdresser.
Very
Dan-
good.
Danny,
Great.
thank you for dropping by. You were a little late, but
sorry.
that's okay.
I'm so
Oh,
sorry.
and Alexis, darling, you're charming as ever.
Thank you. Very
and
nice to be
Brian,
here.
thank you.
Very good meeting you.
That's it.
All right.
We're out.
Thank you. That was fun.
Oh, Mary, where were you?